And we are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man, DL Saint. Welcome. The Really Want to Know podcast. It's Trump Thursday, guys. I know it's early. This is way earlier than we normally do our thing. We normally go live at 5. But tonight I have an event. You guys know I'm gearing up for 2025, and I'm helping my buddy get his gastropub going and getting people in there. So we have an event. We're bringing in a DJ, and we're doing like a pregame event. So I have to do this early. It was either do this now or do this like really late, like around 11 or midnight our time on the East Coast. So I decided to go early. I'm sure most of my folks won't catch this live. I'm pretty sure you guys will be watching team replay. It's all good. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for supporting this platform. So we're doing our thing. What are we talking about? We're talking about the looming government shutdown. Is it going to happen? Why are we going through this? What's the deal? It's Trump Thursday, y'all. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. So a lot of what's going on, and I'm gonna be, you guys, you're gonna notice that I'm gonna be moving pretty fast because I still have to go get my daughter. There's still stuff to do. So forgive me up front. We will figure out the schedule as we move forward. But everything that's going on right now, politically in America is, it's kind of crazy to a lot of folks. A lot of folks like, what's the deal? You go back to the election. The people have spoken. They chose Donald Trump. And Trump is, he's going to be moving. People say, well, he has a mandate from the people. He doesn't have a mandate. He didn't break 50%. It's all this other kind of stuff. But here's the deal. He's not worried about reelection at all. Like Donald Trump knows that this is it. He got 4 years. A lot of people saying he's going to figure out a way to just stay in office forever. I don't believe that's going to happen at all. He might try, but that's not going to happen. Doesn't have enough support. Especially after he gets into office, and if he does any of the things that he said he's going to do with respect to tariffs, with respect to the government, with respect to industry and all that, with the Fed, it's going to hurt Americans. It's going to hurt a lot. And people are like, well, how are you so sure? Like, well, because it's already going on in a country, in South America, right? You look at Argentina. Argentina has had serious problems. Argentina has been going through it with inflation. It's like runaway inflation, and their currency is almost worthless was almost worthless at some point. They voted in their own version of Donald Trump, who came in and did what he said he was going to do. And we're going to start there. So the president in Argentina, the entire world is watching. I think he's been in office a year now, and people are starting to see results. So we have a video lined up here, guys. We're going to look at this video, and we're going to have a look at what's going on down there. And the reason I point this out is this may be a blueprint for what Trump plans to do, especially with DOGE, with the Department of Government efficiency. We'll see. Let's check this out, guys.
Our next story is about Argentina. The country has seen a massive economic turnaround. After almost a year, Argentina has exited a recession. Their GDP rose by 3.9% in the last quarter, the July to September quarter. This is the first time in about a year that they've seen growth, the first time since the recession began. Do you know what else happened about a year ago? Javier Milei became the president of Argentina. He assumed office on December 10, 2023. He came to power promising radical reform. He promised to take a chainsaw to the government. cut jobs.
Right. So their president down there, Milei, that's what he did. He literally took a chainsaw on his first day. He went in, he had this big old board, and all these government entities were on his board, all these departments, and he went through and was just ripping the names off the board. He was like, gone, gone, gone. And those people who had those jobs, like all that red tape, all that bureaucracy, went away.
Jobs, regulations, and excess spending, Milei actually campaigned with a real chainsaw to drive the point home, and it won him the election. But Milei was written off when he took office. He was seen as too radical, too chaotic. But now it seems that his plan is working. He announced the end of the recession a week ago, on the first anniversary of his presidency. Take a look.
Today, with pride and hope, I can tell you that we have passed the test of fire. We are leaving the desert. The recession is over, and the country has finally begun to grow. Thank you for trusting this government.
Right. And you notice they had down below in the lower third there, they were talking about how Donald Trump, Elon Musk, JD Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, they're looking at this and they're really impressed with what Milei is doing in Argentina. He went in with within his first year, he was able to stop the bleeding. Right. So they've come out of recession. That the numbers are starting to go down as far as the recessionary numbers are starting to go down because of what he was doing. Now, there's a cost to this. And again, like the incoming administration is looking at this and they're like, see, it works. All we got to do is do some cuts. Now, when you look at it that way, it was like, yeah, they got a point. Let's continue.
Before Milei took over, Argentina was in a doom spiral. Annual inflation was almost 200%. Milei has been chipping away at this too. Inflation is still ridiculously high in this country at about 166%, but last month it grew by just 2.4%. That's the lowest in over 4 years. Before he was sworn in, prices were rising by almost 13% every single month. 13%. So 2.4% is a massive improvement. Now, combine this with Argentina coming out of recession. And Milei seems to have achieved the impossible. He says it's all because of his chainsaw.
I mean, could you imagine that? His administration and his slashing or chainsaw effect of cutting government, cutting spending has affected their inflationary rate. It's like prices were going up at 13% month over month. That is crazy. Imagine that. You go buy some eggs in December and then you go back and buy some eggs in January and they're 13% more, and that goes on every month. So now when you go back, it's only 2.4% more. That's a huge difference. The problem is no one has any money because he's making these cuts. Is you getting he's fighting the fight. He has to do what he has to do, but it's a lot of pain for those who live there.
We reduced the number of ministries from 18 to 8. We eliminated nearly 100 secretariats and undersecretaries. We closed more than 200 areas that had duplicate or obsolete functions. We froze the salaries of high-ranking officials from January until now. We fired 34,000 public employees and are testing the qualifications of the others.
Basically, he made Argentina's government more efficient by cutting away excess jobs. Does that concept sound familiar? It should, at least to the people of the US, because that's exactly what Donald Trump is gearing up to do. He is bringing in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. It will be led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Both men admire Javier Milei's approach. Ramaswamy even said that he wants, and I'm quoting, Milei-style cuts on steroids. And Trump himself has praised Javier Milei. He's also invited the Argentinian president to his inauguration. So both Milei and Mileinomics are about to come to the US. But that's not all. He's found fans in Vietnam too. This country has a communist government. They too are planning to cut ministries to reduce red tape. So by the looks of it, Mileinomics is here to stay. It might radically transform governments around the world and fix ingrained economic issues. But despite its success in Argentina, it also has a dark side. The economic.
Right. So people, when you look at Argentina and their GDP, even when they're healthy, and you look at America and its GDP, even when it's healthy, we're not talking about apples to apples here, right? It's completely different. America has so much going on. There's a lot of ways. Government is bloated. We do a lot of spending and all that. And the world runs on the US dollar. The world runs on our currency. So when they get to turning on that print machine, it does affect the rest of the world. However, I understand the concept. And I'm not mad at the concept. My thing is, how you going to implement it without doing severe damage and bringing on severe pain for the average American? I don't know, but she's about to talk about the downside of Milei's policy. So it's going to be wild. Let's listen to what they have to say here.
Turnaround has come at a price.
My in-laws are retired, and the truth is that they are not having a very good time. My partner helps them. We live together, and it's difficult. The rent has gone up again. Yes, it's complicated.
Milei cut spending on a lot of social services. He eliminated subsidies on public transport, heating, groceries. He also got rid of price controls. So while inflation has fallen, some basic costs have risen sharply. And this has pushed 5 million Argentinians into poverty. When Milei took over, 40% of the people were in poverty. In 6 months, that figure rose to 53%. But the president says things will get better. He's been saying this since he took charge.
While we will have to endure a period of hardship, we will get through. There is no night that has not been defeated by the day.
The dawn seems to be breaking. The recession has ended. Inflation is down, and there is hope in the Argentinian economy again. But is this economy working for everyone? Are the people pushed into poverty willing to give Milei more time? He has midterm elections coming up next year, and that will give us an answer. We'll see if people really support Mileinomics, or if the pill proves to be too bitter to swallow.
Whoa. Like, I've been watching this since and I was watching a little bit of their elections with Milei. I watched when he got into office, and, just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on down there. Yeah, it's a bitter pill to swallow. Yeah, it's crazy down there. Can it work? It can, but it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna cause a lot of pain for just regular people. And I'm talking about if you go and use Mileinomics here in America, it's going to be a lot of pain. Brother Dino Dinosaur's in the building. What's good, fam? Brother doesn't like the source, huh? He's like, you need better sources. India is buying up Putin's oil. Yeah, they're going to keep buying it up, bro. People out there are going to get that cheap oil as long as they can. And, India is one of America's most staunchest allies. Their fight with Pakistan is crazy. Their fight with China is crazy, but at the same time, they want to break off and get that coalition going, that BRICS thing going, which isn't going to work. But it's crazy how it works, huh? Your friends, are they your friends? They're like, hey, we rock with you, bro, but we're gonna take care of us. So we're gonna take care of us over here. It's crazy. We got Brother Mandrill in the building. What's good, fam? What's good, fam? Good to see you, man. This is crazy. But the Trump administration, in particular, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are looking at this, man. So they if people are wondering, like, well, what is Doge gonna do? They're gonna try to do that. They're gonna try to do what's going on in Argentina. The thing is, all they can do, they have the power to recommend. They don't have the power to actually make it happen. I don't know how Trump plans to make this happen. He doesn't have the numbers he needs in Congress. The House is, they barely have control of the House. The Senate is extremely close. But he has enough MAGA people that he can get stuff going. And a lot of it might be through executive action. Trump might come in, like they were saying, they're going to do away with things like the Department of Education. They just want to do away with it. Just get rid of it. Give that, let the states handle it. They want to do away with probably the Department of Energy, right? They're definitely going to want to do away. They're going to want to get rid of the EPA. They're going to want to do that. They're going to look to the VA to make serious cuts. They're going to want to do that. They're going to look to entities like the FAA, right? They're going to look at all of their federal law enforcement entities, so maybe they'll take some money from the U.S. Marshals, maybe they'll try to they say they want to do away with the FBI. They want to just do away with the FBI and then, just kind of take those agents and put them with different agencies. Now, how they going to do all this, man? I don't know. I don't know. Cody's Kings in the building. What's good, fam? Like, how they going to do all this? I don't know. Brother Dino's like, man, as well, Florida GOP want open carry, pushing the bills right now. The way we have it now, bro, open carry versus the way they're doing it now. I mean, you don't even need a license. If you're in Florida, you're not a convicted criminal. Like, you're not, you can just carry a weapon. You don't have to register that weapon to you. Like, you could, Mandrill could come down. Mandrill's a bad example because he has concealed carry, but I can have a friend come down to Florida who doesn't have a concealed weapon. Let's say one of my friends from California comes to Florida. I can just give them one of my weapons and they can slide it, in their pants and cover it up with a shirt, and it's completely legal. So to the open carry thing, I don't know why they pushing for it. It's silly to have open carry like that. I wouldn't open carry. I mean, there's a lot of dudes who are open carry just so they can walk around with a cool looking weapon. And if things got bad, if everything went to, if the defecation hit the oscillator, I know where I'm gonna get my weapons from. I'm gonna get it from that dude over there who's not trained and is walking around, just walking around with this high-speed weapon on his hip. That you just take it. You take your weapon. You pull your weapon from under your shirt, which he didn't see, and you take his weapon. So I'm not a fan of open carry, and it is what it is. Cody's raised like, good, all these departments are corrupt. Yeah, but people have grown dependent upon this stuff. So if you do the cuts, you can save money. If you do the cuts, like, our budget is insane. Like, we need a balanced budget. We need to do something. Anything you're going to do is going to be painful, but it's how you implement it that's going to make the difference. And who's going to hurt the most? People who always hurt the most vulnerable is going to be the folks who are poor. And the vast majority of Americans are poor. Don't get it twisted. I talk about this all the time. You have a group of Americans who have it, and you have everyone else. So, that gap is widening between the haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots are going to get hurt in all this, depending on how it's implemented. So, and my thing is, I'm cool with weapons. I just think that open carry, I think it's dumb, to be honest with you. I think it's dumb to actually open carry, unless you're wearing a hard uniform, you're part of some organization. I think it's dumb because you don't know what you're walking into, and everyone knows you have a gun, but you don't know who is armed. Everyone knows you're armed, but you don't know who around you is armed. So when people talk about, hey, let's just, and guys be doing silly stuff, man. Let's just go out and with matching Glocks and stupid shit, just trying to look tough, trying to look cool. And it's just dumb. I don't, the concealed carry is fine. No one knows what you have, right? But I just think you should, there should be training involved with that. But that's just my take on it. I don't know if they're going to wind up doing the whole open carry thing down here in Florida. I don't know if that'll pass. It might, but I will never just be walking around with my weapon out. It just doesn't make sense to me. Right? I wouldn't do it. It's like Elon Musk is VP right now. Trump Brown tongue, the richest man in the world. Now, Elon Musk, they say that he's the co-president, bro. He ain't the VP. They say he is the co-president, like whatever is going on. And that brings us into our next video I want you guys to watch. And this is coming from Breaking Points. This is talking about the possible government shutdown, which is we're looking at here in America. There may be a government shutdown. Now, we go through this too often, if you ask me. When I was an air traffic controller, bro, having to work through the government shutdown sucked because we didn't get paid. Our credit unions and the banks will step up. They were offering these loans, just kind of like bridge loans to fund yourself. It's just until the money came back. And when they did the government shutdown, you did get all of your pay. Like, if you missed 2 or 3 pay cycles, you did get your money back. You didn't get interest, but you got your money back. The banking institutions and the credit unions knew you were going to get your money, so they would go ahead and fund. They know how much you get bi-weekly, they would just fund a proportion of that. They were just giving you 0-interest loans for the last government shutdown that we were in. It was 0-interest loans up to a point. I think it was like 40% of your pay or something like that they did. But it was enough to pay, cover the bills. They can, pay the mortgage, put gas in the car. It was enough to cover your bills. You had to sit in the house. It wasn't enough so you can go out and just do everything you were doing. And that was for people who were living paycheck to paycheck. And it was funny. The vast majority of air traffic controllers were affected hard. They were living paycheck to paycheck in these $1 million homes in California. But everyone else was like, bro, these guys have been making hundreds of thousands of dollars for years. The people who budgeted properly were like, hey, man, they don't have to pay me for a whole year. They had savings and emergency funds and all that kind of stuff. That's a different conversation. That's a different conversation. But I just wanted to point something out there. There are people out here making, between $150,000 and $250,000 a year, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. They can't go a month without getting paid. They can't do it. If they don't get paid, bi-weekly, like bi-monthly when we normally get paid, like if the government shuts down, they're in trouble. Like, damn, they can't pay their stuff. It's like credit cards are almost maxed out anyway because they're taking these trips and spending this money. So that's another conversation for another day. But let's check out breaking points. The title of this is Elon nukes GOP spending bill in key test for Trump 2.0. So I don't even understand why. I didn't know this was a thing. I don't understand why Trump is doing this, to be honest with you. Like I said, the House is too close. They have to work with Democrats to get stuff done. So to throw a monkey wrench and all that just doesn't make any sense, especially when the outcome is the government gets shut down. And right before you come into office, you can't blame this on the other outgoing administration. So let's check this out and see what they are talking about, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Crystal?
Indeed, we do. Washington just got very interesting. Whole showdown.
Very shutdown
Elon
Christmas.
Musk, potential government shutdown. What is Trump think? A lot going on. Jeff Stein's going to join us to break down all of the madness and try to figure out where we are and what might happen next to the best of any of our ability. We also have an update. So the House apparently secretly voted to release that Matt Gaetz ethics report.
Whoa.
So we've got Matt Gaetz' response. Why did they do it? What do we expect to learn? Break all of that down for you. We also have a new healthcare whistleblower coming forward at the same time that Kathy Hochul is setting up a potential hotline for any CEOs who feel threatened out there. So a lot of response there. We've got some new details that have been revealed as part of a lawsuit against a bunch of elite universities, including some Ivy League universities, showing just how much preference they give to particularly wealthy and well-connected students. Some of these details are absolutely incredible. We also have some of the first numbers post-affirmative action of minority enrollment, how that's been impacted by the Supreme Court ending affirmative action at these schools. So that's interesting as well. And we've got some interesting comments on the Theo Von podcast from Timothy Chalamet about how Bernie Sanders is a folk hero. Interesting moment there.
We'll talk about it.
That Matt Gaetz thing, I'm waiting for that report to come out, bro. That's going to read like soft corn. You hear me? That is going to be, boy, whatever's in there was bad enough for him to step down from his office on his own. He was trying to get into the administration, but when that wasn't going to work, he like, I'm not trying to get my position back over there. And I don't think that he did anything technically illegal. I think he was messing with really young girls who were probably legal enough. It depends on what state it was in. And I think Florida, the age of consent is weird down here. That it could be as young as 14, depending on how old the guy is that she's dealing with. But I think 16-year-olds and up can pretty much mess with who they want to mess with. It's crazy. I have a 16-year-old. So best believe I was reading that law like, what? And the way the law is written is kind of, man, it wrapped my head. I was trying to wrap my head around it, but the way the law is written, your 16-year-old can engage with someone up to 22 or something like that. I'm gonna have to pull that up again, but it was crazy. And I remember reading it and like, okay, I got to talk to my daughter. I'm gonna have to let my daughter know to stay away from or be aware that this is what's going on. It's crazy. So I don't know, like with the Matt Gaetz thing, I'm looking forward to reading that. I don't think he actually broke the law, but I think he was right there on the buffer zone. Let's continue.
Yeah.
I listened to the entire thing. The game day Chalamet, that's not the real Chalamet, I've discovered. I had no idea Chalamet is a full-on theater kid from like the Upper East Side or whatever in New York.
Oh, really? I don't know anything about him.
He was on College Game Day, and he like had. By the way, I don't watch college football. All my football friends are telling me, they're like, "Oh my God, Chalamet was amazing. He made all of these correct picks." It's pretty clear somebody coached him about it, because then when he was on Theo Von, I was like, "Oh, this kid is like a full-on theater."
He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, no. By the way,
I sports and theater, Sagar. Don't rein him in.
I don't think so.
Don't trim his sails.
Look, Chalamet. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure that you were trained for that game day segment. And look, he's an incredible actor. He's one of my favorite actors in the up and coming.
So he could pull it off if he was coached on how to
absolutely no
play
question.
the part.
And in my opinion, he was acting whenever he was on game day. Now, I will say he's still an interesting guy. He's a little soft spoken and all of that, but I didn't know that much about him, about his background and everything. And he's like, yeah, I went to Columbia and I was a theater kid in New York. And I was like, oh, okay. That was interesting. Anyway, he is a better actor. He's definitely, who's that other young guy who's coming up right now? Alordi. He's a better actor than him, for sure. Women would probably disagree with me, but.
Yeah, Cody, like Gaetz is down here at Hillsborough County, man. He came out. He's from the area I'm living in now. I know people who've interacted with him. Gaetz a weirdo, bro, when it comes to that. Gaetz is a weird weirdo. You ain't gonna be nobody to sue because, I mean, there's plenty of paperwork. Like, you know what I mean? And Gaetz is, yeah, he's weirdo, bro. And yeah, people don't like him. He's very unlikable. He's, he did some wild stuff, but and the people that Gaetz was working with down here, not a lot, but a few of those guys are locked up doing time for stuff right now. So you got that. You got people telling on him, which is like, all right, when it comes to snitches, I'm like, bro, if you ain't got receipts, I ain't really listening to you because you're just trying to save your own. But there were receipts and there was stuff going on. And like I said, it boiled down to the letter of the law. But nah, man, don't get it twisted. It ain't no fake news, man. Gaetz is a weirdo. And that's coming from the people of Hillsborough County. And yeah, they don't like him, but it's coming from both sides, Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are like, keep your daughters away from that guy. That's his reputation is earned. I'm just saying it's earned. And it's weird when people talk about it because they're like, yeah, nah, So we'll see what he does with his career moving forward. But politically, he might be done. We'll see.
Anyway, let's get to Jeff Stein and let's talk about all of this government shutdown situation. Joining us now, Jeff Stein of the Washington Post, great friend of the show. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back on, guys.
Absolutely. All right, so Jeff, let's break some of this down, man. It's been a wild turn of events. First, there was a continuing resolution that was a bipartisan deal. It was negotiated. Elon Musk takes to Twitter. He starts criticizing the deal. So does Vivek Ramaswamy. J.D. Vance, Donald Trump all start to jump in. And it appears that Elon's threat to primary those House individuals who did vote for the CR appears to have been at least contributed to its downfall. That's what Fox News is reporting, at least. Let's take a listen to that. We'll get your reaction.
Tweets from Musk and others, has that complicated this?
Well, I mean, I think that there's always a lot of interest in what's happening up here. And
this is more than interest. They're telling people if they vote yes, they should be voted out.
the social media world is a part of our politics. And I think members have to expect that. There are going to be a lot of hard votes in the next couple of years.
The fact is that, look, this is a sandwich. I don't know how else to say that. We're being forced into this position. They could have done the standalone. They did this because they knew that it would put members in this position to support it. We're damned if we do. We're damned if we don't.
Now, the bill has about $100 billion in disaster relief, nearly $30 billion to restock FEMA's coffers, and there are lots of health care provisions. Jamming everything together in one bill means some Republicans will not support Mike Johnson for Speaker in January.
Like, where's all that money coming from? These politicians know what they're doing, bro. $100 billion in disaster relief funding. I mean, you need that. Florida got hit hard. Georgia got hit hard. What happened in the Carolinas? You look at what's going on in Texas, Florida. Texas. I meant to say Texas and California. California still has like the wildfires and stuff like that. Man, it's crazy. So I can understand that you need that money. $30 billion in FEMA funding. Yeah, because FEMA's out of money. You need that. $10 billion in economic assistance for farmers. I don't know what that's about, but okay. $2.25 billion to small businesses disaster loan program. So when your business gets knocked or blown away or damages, you can go get this government money to help you get back on your feet. Okay. Restrictions on outbound investments to China. All right. So then you got 500 pages of healthcare provisions, transparency and changes for key events. I don't even know what that's about. It's in charge. I said changes as charges, transparency and charges for key events, ticketing. I don't know what that is. So when you transfer of RFK Stadium campus to DC, first step in luring Commanders to the city, which the Commanders, by the way, are going back to the Redskins. It's going to be because the Native Americans have spoken out like, no, we are cool with having our mascot, our face on there. That's a whole nother story. But this is what Milei wants to do away with. This is how the Milei style of Mileionomics, or whatever they call it, they'll slash all that out. They'll no money for small businesses, maybe some money for farmers, maybe the disaster relief stuff, they might cut that down. This is, elected officials do this all the time, bro. They throw all this stuff in there. They throw in the good stuff, the stuff that's needed, and then they put in all the pork, right? And then neither Republicans or Democrats wants to give the president the authority to do a line item veto. So instead of vetoing the whole thing, like, we're just going to get rid of this, going to get rid of that. So this is what they're talking about. This is, it makes sense what the Republicans are saying. It makes sense. It makes fiscal sense, but they don't want to do it. Neither side wants to do it. And in the meantime, the whole country is just getting wrecked.
One bill means some Republicans will not support Mike Johnson for Speaker in January.
Have any other of your colleagues said that they're not voting for Johnson? Any express?
Yeah, I've talked to a few, who don't seem like they're going to vote for him. You have to ask them. I'm not going to betray anybody's position.
Will you just vote president, or will you vote someone else's?
I'll vote for somebody else.
So, Jeff, they've been roiled on Capitol Hill. It's now Thursday morning while we're all talking. The government shuts down tomorrow at midnight. People thought that this deal was done. It was dusted. It was sailing to a vote. And yet now we're at a completely new reset. So tell us what you know.
Elon Musk is quite possibly the most powerful person in Washington. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump obviously is the source of his power, but Trump has a million things going on, and Musk seems really dialed in on these kinds of spending fights and has huge remit to sort of tell the Republican Party what to do on behalf of Trump. And it's the money for sure. I mean, as you were saying, Musk has been threatening primary challenges against Republicans who are out of step with what he and Trump want. But I think it's more than that. When I talk to Republican lawmakers, they like the idea of being retweeted by Musk, as silly as that might sound as a reason for how to govern. They want to be in his sort of aura. They feel that he has sort of a popularity and a vision that they want to be associated with. Someone was like comparing it to high school to me, where Musk is like the cool kid and people want to be at his table, and no Republican wants to stand out of that mix if you want to have a political future. And it's more than just than that too. I mean, it's Musk is really sort of assuming control for the Trump administration, incoming Trump administration, over spending and regulation, which is a huge thing. I mean, that's
pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much everything. Exactly. And for members, right, if you want, this project for your district and your constituents, you kind of need Elon Musk at this point to be on your side. So the stakes for them are existential and go beyond even the fear of a Republican primary challenge. And, did voters in November, were they upset about high grocery prices, or did they want the world's richest man to have discretion over the federal budget? I mean, that seems to be the question that Democrats are trying to push this morning, but I think it's a legitimate one.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, the whole cool kid thing, like these elected officials want to tie themselves to Elon Musk because he's a hot thing, first of all, and they looked at the fact that he spent over $250 million on the Trump campaign. They're like, bro, we need to get some of that money moving forward. When the midterms come, I could go to Elon Musk and maybe he'll throw me a quick 10 million, 20 million. That's what they're looking at. And brother Dino, I keep saying Dino, brother Dino Dinosaur. Listen, man, elected officials, right, at the federal level in the U.S. do not deserve a raise. None of them. They don't deserve a raise. They're not doing the job. You don't get to do a shitty job and say I need more money. No, they're doing a horrible job. They do not deserve a raise, and they always do that. I remember it was a couple government shutdowns ago. They didn't pay us, and they gave themselves a raise. And during the government shutdowns, the elected officials get paid. They shut down the government, but they get paid. Right. So hell no, bro. They don't deserve any more money. Right. And it's to the point now. And they're making so much money on the back end, bro. Nah, man. That's just I'm not with you there, bro. I got a problem with them elected officials, bro. And the stuff that they're doing. You know what I mean? No. $60 billion more to Ukraine. I ain't got a problem with that. Stop Putin. Putin is evil. Stop him. Right. You know what I mean? Stop Putin. I ain't got a problem with that. Give the Ukrainians everything they need. Give them the money and untie their hands, unrestricted. Drop these weapons wherever you need to drop them to get rid of Putin. That's what I would do. I got no problem with that, bro. Putin is evil. Whenever I talk to my Republican friends, it's the young ones that are like, well, I don't know what's so wrong with, why is everyone mad at Putin? Why is Russia bad? The older ones are like, yeah, bro, right? Putin has to go. If you ask me, I got a problem with that. I'm an American warrior. We trained to fight them boys. Stop Putin. All that's going on right now, all that, just horrific loss of life, all this damage, all the damage they've done to people and to these countries for what? Nah, man, Putin needs to be stopped. And go ahead and, double that. Give him 120 billion. Give the Ukrainians what they need to stop that man. That's my take on that, bro. I know that's, a lot of people don't like that. And this is what, I talk to folks all the time. Like, when did y'all start loving Putin? Right? What happened? How did this happen? But it is what it is. Lady Navo's in the building. What's good? Yeah, bro. This is absolutely real, sis. This is real. This is what's going on. People are getting confused as to, well, who did I vote in? Like, what's going on with what Elon Musk is doing, with Trump, JD Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy. This is what's going on. Again, I get where they are coming from. We can't just keep spending like we spend. We got to do something. It's what is going to be done and how it's going to be implemented. No matter what, someone's going to get hurt in all this. So like I said, just waiting for them to get in office. Waiting for them to get in office. And bro, the one thing that Cody and I 100% agree on is our elected officials down here at the federal level should not get a pay increase. They're doing a terrible job. Why are we paying them more money to do nothing? And they should change that law. Like, hey, if you shut the government down, you don't get paid either. That's one of those things, man. Like, they shut the government down and they still pay themselves. And that way they keep the government shut down indefinitely because they're not feeling the pain. That's not leading from the front. That's crazy. I'm gonna go out there with my soldier, tell my soldiers, like, yeah, y'all go out here and eat bugs, and I'm gonna go back to the rear with the gear and I'm eating filet mignon. No, eventually my soldiers find out that's what's going on, bro. I got a problem. They're gonna come see me. They're definitely gonna stop fighting. So no, if I'm eating steak, my soldiers need to be eating steak. I think it was I want to say it was Patton. I could be wrong, but it was one of the American generals, and it might have been Patton, would always say, I want to eat the same rations that my soldiers on the lines are eating. So I have a better idea of how I'm feeling. If I can't think, if I'm weak, then they must be weak and they can't think. And I know in the movie Patton, there was a scene in the movie when Patton came, he was just in line for chow. He gets up to the front and the mess sergeant looks up and sees his General Patton. He was like, hey, go back there and make me something good. He was like, nah, give me what you're giving the soldiers. And the mess sergeant gave Patton the food that he was giving all other soldiers, and Patton spit it out. And he was like, you go back there and you get some real food for my soldiers. That was in the movie. I don't know if that really happened, but boy, oh boy, it would be nice if it did. All the soldiers were like, hooray, we're getting real food. I've had Army chow and I've had Army combat rations. I've had MREs, bro. Some of that chow was absolutely god awful. I remember when we would get to a point where we had a base, like a fire base or whatever set up, and they would bring the cooks in. Man, that food would be so bad that we would just reach in and grab our MREs. Like, we'd rather eat the MREs than eat the stuff that they were cooking, bro. It is. Let's get back to it. Sorry about that. It's bringing back memories. I was just like, I'd rather eat an MRE than eat that nasty stuff that they're cooking. Sometimes we would go out and find chickens and stuff like that, and we'll just make our own food.
Some of that A2, please, we can put on the screen just to give a taste of some of the Democratic reaction. So initially you had Elon saying that we should shut down the government until January 20th. That'd be approximately 33 days. We then got some more reactions, if we continue here, with some of these images showing you, he says, any member of the House or the Senate who votes for this outrageous spending bill deserves to be voted out in 2 years. What's even more interesting, though, Jeff, is the plot twist that then Donald Trump has added. So can we put A3, please, up on the screen? Because this makes things even crazier. And this is from J.D. Vance, which was tweeted out as a statement from President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Vance. They talk about the most foolish and inept thing ever done by congressional Republicans was allowing our country to hit the debt ceiling in 2025. It was a mistake and is now something that must be addressed. Meanwhile, Congress is considering another spending bill. The bill would make it easier to hide the records of the January 6th committee, which accomplished nothing. The bill would give Congress a pay increase while Americans are struggling this Christmas. Let's go to the next slide, please, because he says increasing the debt ceiling is not great, but we'd rather do it now on Biden's watch. So he continues, he says, Republicans must get smart and tough. If Democrats threaten to shut down the government unless we give them everything they want, call their bluff. It is Schumer and Biden who are holding up aid to our farmers and disaster relief. So now I think we have three separate things that are going on. There's a fight over the disaster relief. There's a fight over the $10 billion to farmers. And now Donald Trump is saying, no, Republicans, you don't even vote for a quote unquote clean CR. First, maybe explain what a clean CR is. You only do it if we also attach a raise to the debt ceiling. So that adds another layer of what must get done in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we are facing a government shutdown. Musk seems to not be that alarmed by the prospect. I mean, the thing that I'm trying to figure out and calling sources, yesterday and today, that I can't really wrap my head around is why did Johnson not call Elon and Trump and say, like, hey, man, like, here's my plan. Are you going to go nuclear on me in public and like embarrass me and potentially cost my speakership? And I want to be very careful about how I phrase this because I don't have this like fully confirmed. But the thing that lawmakers and aides on the Hill and some people close to Mar-a-Lago are telling me is that Johnson thought, maybe incorrectly, but he thought that Trump had his back.
Yes.
As you were saying, right, like the CR, right, is just the idea that we will basically
kick the can down the road,
extend funding for the government without much attached. And that's how you get this idea. And separately, you have this idea of an omnibus, which like you include a lot of different spending changes to the law. Now, for Hill speak that nobody but like three nerds in Washington should ever have to hear, they're calling it a cromnibus, which is the CR plus an omnibus. So that sort of reflects what Johnson was trying to do here. Because he knew he was going to lose a lot of Republicans, to get this spending deal done, he included a bunch of stuff that Democrats wanted. But the fact that Johnson was unable to have a conversation with Elon, have a conversation with Trump, like, what are they talking about when they go to like the wrestling match and like hang out?
Yes.
Like what dude is talking about, like if I hold a leadership position, I'm not checking in with the president or checking in with anybody else. I'm gonna do my job. So the fact that this guy is worried about the only way he can keep his position if he keeps Trump happy, then that's not his position, and somebody else can have that shit. I wouldn't have taken it in the first place. And that's one of the biggest problems with what's going on here. In American politics, right? And brother Dino, I hear what you're saying about having to maintain two homes and all that. But here's the thing. Congress people, elected officials don't need money to buy themselves a $10 million brownstone somewhere in DC. There's plenty of bed space in the United States military apparatus with all those bases around the area that they can sleep in. No, in fact, I don't think that elected officials should get more money. I think they should get less. You shouldn't get paid to fail like that. You should not get paid to fail. They need money to get a house. No, they don't. Flying to DC, fly in free, take a MAC flight. That's a military flight. Go to your nearest military installation or do some sort of program where you get reimbursed for flying into DC if you're going to fly in a commercial airliner. And when you get there, right, you should get per diem. Just like I would get per diem if the government sends me somewhere and I can stay in a hotel or whatever. However, I make that budget work. I could put some more money with it or take money away. And they should give them an option to say, hey, you get per diem. You can stay at this military facility here. You can stay at Fort Houston's, or you can, in Virginia, or you can stay wherever in commuting distance. And here's a bed for you. You can stay over here. Right. And then, or if you're going to, have the military build some extra lodging space that could be used by elected officials. And when the elected officials don't use it, it could be used by the service members. But no, absolutely not. They should not get paid more money. No, they should get paid less. Every time that they don't do their job, they should get docked. All right, we're gonna dock you 25% of your pay. Why? Because y'all ain't do shit. Right? Y'all ain't do shit. You want to get that money back, start doing stuff. Put some pressure on them to do their jobs. Just like you get pressured at work to do your job. And if you don't do it, what? You get fired. Simple as that. We got problems. And laying the void, it's just gonna get rough out here. Like, so many people turn to the government for help when they like, oh, if things get bad, we can go to government. When they start slashing government programs, that help won't be there. And that's going to put pressure on people to be smarter. A lot of Americans out here are in so much credit card debt, unsecured credit card debt. They can't pay the credit cards back. They can't pay for their cars. You got people out here between their car and their insurance on that car looking at $1,000 plus a month. Right? Meanwhile, they're only making like $4,000, maybe $5,000 a month before taxes. Right? The average American don't have a lot of money. So at some point, something's going to have to give. And that's what Doge is supposed to be all about. We'll see how it gets implemented. But it's no more free money. Right? No more free money, not even for Americans. If we want to do something about our, addiction to money in this country, it's going to be rehab, right? It might have to be cold turkey. They're going to have to make some cuts. And I'm saying this as a vet, the VA is going to get hit hard. They're already talking about what they're going to do at the VA. They're going to get hit hard. They always do. And that's sad because these are Americans who put their lives on the line for our country, and we're gonna, give them the short end of the stick when they get back. But nah, sis, it's gonna be bad.
You're exactly right. They were literally together this weekend.
To me, and the fact that Trump is just so willing to say to Mike Johnson, who he's been photographed hanging out with all the time, like, no, like you eat shit now, dude. Like that's not like you're on your own is kind of breathtaking to me. I mean, it either suggests that Trump is just willing to like screw this guy who's been one of his most stalwart allies, or that Johnson is a spectacularly inept House Speaker who could not foresee the most obvious outcome from a mile away. I mean, I've been hearing from Trump people who wanted to kill this deal for a long time and thought that they could get Elon on board. Even the defense bill, they passed, a roughly $1 trillion annual defense bill, which I think you guys covered, $10 trillion in defense spending over the next decade, which Elon has talked about the DoD budget being too big. And, this whole time I was watching that fight, I was like, where is Elon, right? Because he could have done to that bill what he did to this bill. It seems like maybe he just like wasn't paying attention enough to do that. But whatever the case, I mean, this is, it suggests that we're going to be in for a very complicated few years if the coordination problems this early between Republican leadership and Mar-a-Lago are this bad.
And some real power struggles ultimately between the richest man on the planet, who has his own base of support and plenty of wealth to throw around in terms of primary challenges, et cetera, and who controls Twitter. controls this huge social media platform and can use it to push whatever message he wants to push, which, has been in recent months the same message that Trump wants to push. But it really does set up this titanic clash of two power centers between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Let's put A4 up on the screen. We have some commentary from Trump specifically, which
we're gonna look at this in a second, man. But y'all right, bro. Like when we look at what's going on, this is why we need term limits for Congress. That we gotta have it. We need term limits for Congress. We need to do away with, we need to overturn Citizens United. We need to do away with all that dark money, right? We need to make it dark money again. We need to make it illegal for people to be, just sending unlimited funds to these candidates. And we need to have some sort of campaign finance reform. So you got, like you said, all these millionaires are running. It takes so much money to run for office. I think if you go and just look up what it costs to run for a Senate seat, we're looking at probably $50 million. It's like tens of millions of dollars to run for a Senate seat. And think about that. Both sides are spending that. You got, 4 or 5 serious candidates. They're all spending $50 million. Let's say they're all spending like $30 million, right? Only one's going to win. The rest of that money just gone. So yeah, how do we do that? If we implement those reforms, now you get just regular folks who are the leaders in their community who are going to do right by their community, their city, their state, and send them to DC or send them to the state house. That's what we need. We need to get back to that. That's what it used to be. Now it's overrun and controlled by the 1%. We ain't never going to win. To Leila Navoa, they don't care about us. All they want from you is your vote. They'll do whatever, say whatever to get your vote. Once they get your vote, man, they ain't talking to you. They ain't dealing with you. I've been to those $2,500 a plate fundraisers, and I sit around and I listen to these folks because you in there. They're assuming you somebody big if you in there and you look the part. And I'm in there and I'm listening. I'm here to tell you, they do not care about Americans. It's not personal. They only care about their interests, their business. They care about Wall Street. They care about what's going on, like with this crypto. All these crypto bros put so much money in, and now Trump is like, yeah, we're gonna use crypto as some sort of reserve currency or whatever. America is going to invest in crypto. That could be a Ponzi, right? Like what the hell? Get ready for the biggest rug pull ever, and whoever's going to make all that money, it's not going to be a Bernie Madoff style type thing because people are just throwing their money into it. It's crazy out here, yeah. It's crazy. Things need to change. And Americans, like I said, it doesn't matter what side, you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. It does not matter. They don't care about us. They don't. That's just something I just got to drive home, man. They don't give a shit about the average American. Every time something goes wrong, every time they overextend themselves on Wall Street, what happens? They take taxpayer money to bail out the bankers, to bail out the Wall Street folks. And what do they give in return? Nothing. Nothing. If you want to change that, you got to change who you send, who you put in the office. That's why your vote is so important. Elon Musk was giving people $1 million for a vote. He was doing a raffle, a lottery kind of thing. Like, hey, I'll give you $1 million if you register Republican, knowing that person's going to vote Trump. That's what he's thinking. $1 million. How can you compete with that? You can't.
I want to get you to weigh in on what I just said about the power centers, but also I want to understand more why Trump is focused on the debt limit at this time as well. So this is from Truth Social. He says, if Republicans try to pass a clean continuing resolution without all of the Democrat bells and whistles, that will be so destructive to our country. All it will do after January 20th is bring the mess of the debt limit into the Trump administration rather than allowing it to take place in the Biden administration. Any Republican that would be so stupid as to do this should and will be primaried. Everything should be done and fully negotiated prior to my taking office on January 20th, 2025. I mean, this is deeply confusing to me because it seems like he's almost advocating for the CR that Elon just completely tanked. And obviously, this piece about the debt limit is very important to him. He keeps bringing it up. So why is that so significant? What do you make of this, whatever Donald Trump is trying to say here?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Trump is saying, right, obviously there's not to get too into Washington speak, but there's like two key things that, as you guys understand, right? There's the funding of the federal government, all the government services, and then there's a separate question about the U.S. borrowing limit, which is the debt ceiling, which basically stipulates that the government can only borrow up to, I don't know exactly what it is now, but let's say like $37 trillion. And beyond that, it becomes illegal for the government to do that, which means that we become very quickly in default of our obligations, which could cause a global financial crisis. Trump is saying, like, let's make sure that that second bomb is not on the table. Like, I don't want to have to deal with this at all during my administration. I think he knows that if they don't deal with it now, he's going to have to figure out either A, how to deal with Democrats and give Democrats concessions to prevent the global economy from blowing up under his watch, or B, he's going to have to keep every Republican on board for a debt ceiling increase, which is going to be really, really hard. So I think it makes sense that Trump is like, let's just clear the decks on this right now. And I spoke to Democratic Senator Brian Schatz earlier this week. He was saying, like, I would love if Trump did this because we think that this is a huge problem too, and we want to be done with it. I think the thing that I find most inexplicable about this, or like haven't really wrapped my head around, is like the timing is bizarre. Like, Trump was elected over a month ago, and we've known that the debt ceiling is going to be an issue this spring for 2 years. And if Trump had said to Mike Johnson, this goes back to sort of my point about the baffling like miscommunication here. If Trump had just said to Johnson, like, put this in the CR, I don't want to deal with the debt limit. Maybe he did privately, and I just don't have the reporting chops to like figure that out. But like, my sense is that this is a new ask that Trump is now putting out there, and it reflects, I think. I spoke to someone who was at Mar-a-Lago yesterday who was saying that, like, you guys in the media and you guys on the Hill, like, you don't understand. Like, Trump is like feeling himself. Like, he is so confident. He thinks of this guy referred to Trump as like feeling like he's Charlemagne, where he's just like this like globe-striding colossal figure, like, which I mean, historically, like, he might be remembered as a quite a significant president. So he's just like the CR and the omnibus and like this is like peasant stuff. Like, I don't want to be like sucked into this boring mess. So like, and I get where he's like, Trump won twice. Like, he's just like, I don't need to.
I mean, I hear what dude is saying. He's into some word salad, bro. But the thing is this. If you are in leadership, if you're the Speaker of the House, you're the Speaker of the House. Right? You're number 3 in line to the presidency. I don't give a shit what the president incoming president thinks or the outgoing president. I don't care. I got my own job to do. And this is a problem. All these people tie their fortunes to the president in DC. They're in it for the money. They're not in it for the people. That's the problem. And Brother Dino, man, that's good. Biden endorsed this ban on stock trading. Cool. Why didn't he do that on day one? Why didn't he do that when he first got into the White House? Day one. Why didn't he talk about that on the campaign trail? Why is he waiting until he's on his way out to do it, knowing the next guy's going to come in and undo it? And that's my whole point right there. It's definitely a scam going on. It's on both sides. The Democrats don't have the moral high ground on this. Like I say it all the time. Nancy Pelosi, bro, her insider training, which is legal because she writes the rules. Her husband's supposed to be this great, Wall Street guy. Like, oh, my husband, he just made these investments. Bro, he knows what's going on. She is telling him that's how they made that money. I ain't mad. That's the game. I ain't mad. Do what you're going to do. But you concede the moral high ground when you do that stuff. How do you stop them? Right? How do you stop them? It's kind of like what Cody was saying. Like, you put in place real teeth, right? That's going to stop them from doing it. You make it illegal and you prosecute one of them, send them to jail, right? Lock them up at the state level so they can't get pardoned by a president. They'll just do it one time. They're like, oh shit, all right, they ain't playing no more. And again, Citizens United, man, we have to change the system if we plan to make it work the way that the founders wanted it to work. The founding fathers weren't thinking about this. They weren't thinking about, American oligarchs coming in here and just moving, just taking money and moving everything. It was supposed to be a separation of power, but the House and the leader in the Senate are all looking at the president to do what he says. There's no separation of power. And you look at what's going on with the court. There's no separation of power. This is why we're having all these problems. When I look at it, man, it's dirty, man. It's dirty all the way around. I get it. I got to deal with the political system. I talk to these people all the time. I get it. It's dirty. But to me, they just as dirty as the dudes in the street. I mean, this game is just as dirty as the drug game. That's how I look at it. People like, well, not, you know, the drug gang, you know, people get deleted all the time. You don't think bodies are dropping in this political game? This body's dropping all the time. And if they don't drop you, they'll lock you up. With something you didn't do, you come home and there the feds waiting on you, locking you up. Like what? All this evidence, like I ain't do none of that, especially now. Well, they can reach out and touch anybody they want to touch. Make too much noise and they're gonna get you. I'm glad I'm a small fry. Ain't nobody listening to me. But if people started listening to me, bro, trust and believe, I'm gonna have to fade away because they're gonna come get me. They're gonna come get me, man. And what they'll do is come get me and offer me a position somewhere. Like, what do you want to be? You want to be mayor? You want to be vice mayor? Right? You want to go to this? You want to go to the state senate? You want to be in the state senate? You want to go to the House of Representatives? You want to go to DC? They'll sit down and cut you a deal. You play with them. If you don't play with them, they're gonna deal with you. That's politics.
Spend my days appeasing people in Washington and dealing with this like mechanical stuff. But it also is like a huge problem for the functioning of the federal government if he's just gonna like barely pay attention in the last minute, like throw out complicated contradicting demands.
Yeah, here's my theory of what happened. So I see this morning Playbook is reporting, and it kind of fits with some of the people I spoke to yesterday. They're like, Trump, this wasn't on his radar basically at all. He didn't particularly care. Elon basically decides to pick a fight, him and Vivek on Doge on the CR. Trump wakes up to it. He gets kind of backed into a corner because enough people have now come out against the CR that it's not going to pass no matter what in terms of Republicans, including people like John Cornyn, right? Somebody in Senate leadership. So then Trump is like, okay, well, we got to do something new. Then a legislative aide down in Mar-a-Lago says, by the way, Mr. President-elect, you may not know this, but the debt ceiling is up in June. Trump hates a debt ceiling, doesn't want to deal with it. He especially doesn't want to deal with these Freedom Caucus guys. So he's like, okay, let's get it dusted now.
To be able to do his
This stuff is crazy. And Dino, I got nothing but love for you, brother. You're my day one. I got nothing but love for you, bro. But this right here, Biden didn't want to, he didn't want to stop insider trading with these powerful elected officials because he had to do this. They handled this all wrong, bro. I think about this all the time, man. Because they came out later and they're like, well, maybe we were, maybe we jumped the gun here. Maybe, right? You had to sign a waiver to get that thing, bro. If something happens to me or something happens to my child down the road, there's nothing I can do. There's no recourse because I did that. And what upsets me the most about that is they didn't give me all the information they had at the time. They didn't give me that information. They gave me the information they wanted me to have, and I had to make a choice. That's where they went wrong. And the thing that really chaps my head about that is they didn't come back and say, hey, man, we screwed that up. Because next time, and there's going to be a next time, there will be a real pandemic next time, and bodies are going to fall because no one, I mean, absolutely no one is going to listen to the government. You're going to have a small handful of people who will listen to the government. The vast majority of people are like, nah, we ain't doing that. This is the dangers of leading the way that they lead, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people who's going out here going crazy about the jab or whatever. That was the toughest decision I ever had to make in my adult life because it affected my child. I wasn't worried about me. I got a joke about that. The government stuck me in. I have all kind of stuff swimming through my veins that happened to me in Desert Storm. They gave me shots that to this day, officially, they say that they never gave me. It's hilarious to watch. I just asked this because I want to see it. I want to see it in writing. Oh, we never used that. We never gave this soldier that. I think it's hilarious. Yes, y'all did. Yes, y'all did. I think it's hilarious. But this is dangerous because now, I mean, think about that. No one trusts the U.S. government. No one probably trusts the government where they are. I don't know how you are with the, the government over in UK. But that, and again, and here's another thing too. You got to be able to do more than one thing at once. The Biden administration could have focused on that right there. I don't want to say it because YouTube don't like talking about it. The Biden administration could have focused on that right there, and also focused on the insider trading and these people that were getting over legally in Wall Street and everything else that was going on. You got to be able to do multiple things at once. I just want to throw that out there, man. Like I said, I got nothing but love for you, brother. But that really, man, if something happens to my daughter down the road, and I'll be dead and gone, and something can happen to my daughter, and we had to sign waivers. There's nothing that we can do. Nothing. My daughter will probably have to go and say, well, I didn't sign that. My father did. And, he made a bad choice, but that wasn't my choice. So y'all gonna have to pay me. I mean, it'll be something, and they'll wind up if indeed something happens, or if it's just some ill effects. But man, that was a scary time, bro. And when it happens again, I'm not listening to the government, man. I'm telling you, I'm not. Me and my dude Jay Swan's getting to this all the time. I'm like, I'm not listening next time, bro. I'm not. That's ridiculous. And maybe I would have listened if they came out right away and said what they did wrong. Both administrations, Trump and the Biden administration, they both had a hand in this, man. So I'm sorry, that really chaps my hide, bro. That got me. Y'all can see that got me flustered. That got me flustered. That was terrible. We're playing with lives here. We're playing with lives of the most vulnerable, man, our children. That was a tough call, man. That was a tough call. But like I said, man, I don't agree with you on that. But he should have been able to do more. He got a lot of people working for him, man. It's the administration, bro. Like, we need all this stuff done. Get all this done.
Exactly. And he needs his tax cut. So he sees this and he's like, we need to get this shit done. We can't deal with this during reconciliation. And so he puts it in right now. As you said, very, very little has changed, Jeff, in the last 4 years. I was definitely assured of more streamlined processes and others, but I'm getting a lot of rhymes. It hasn't been that long ago since I had to deal with this.
I do think one thing you put your finger on there that I think is really interesting is the idea that, Musk is operating as an independent power center here.
Yes.
Like that's kind of if that is true, that suggests that Musk's power doesn't just derive from Trump. And this notion that these are co-presidents and that Musk is like actually calling the shots here, I don't know. That's kind of what it sounds like to me, right? Like,
yeah, no.
Yeah.
You are right. That's correct. I don't think that so from what I've been able to tell, it definitely the Elon tweets, but especially the Vivek stuff attacking the CR, that's totally independent. That was never signed off on. Remember, a lot of these folks, they're not even in the same room. Trump is down in Mar-a-Lago. Elon is wherever, somewhere in the globe. Every once in a while pops up in the UK, San Francisco, etc. Vivek is here in Washington. None of these people are necessarily coordinating. Allegedly, there is a group chat with Mike Johnson, Vivek, and Elon in it. Somebody never raised the CR, apparently, in said group chat. And so I think there's a very real chance of a shutdown here. What do you think?
I mean, I think I'm ambivalent a little bit about sort of the substantive complaint being made here, because I do think you talk to, average people and it's like members of Congress can't read the bill before they vote on it. It's like 1,700 pages and nobody knows what's in it before they are expected to support it. It's full of things that have nothing to do with keeping the government open. Like those are, to be fair, I guess, to Musk and Ramaswamy, like that is a thing that I think strikes people as a broken process. And they're saying like it is time to end that broken process. At the same time, I mean, there's over 1 million government workers who are now at risk of having their Christmases and their families' Christmases completely ruined, not to mention all the private sector workers who depend on it. And also the things that are in here that are objectionable include disaster aid and farm aid that a lot of people think is important. And Musk circulated claims last night about the bill that are just patently false. I mean, he said, he cited a report that was saying that the bill includes $3 billion for the new Commander Stadium in Washington, D.C. That's just not true. He said that he circulated a report saying that the bill has $60 billion for Ukraine, like not true. So, I hear where they're coming from, but if every bit of government legislation is at risk of being mischaracterized as it has by Musk and Ramaswamy, as I think they did in maybe not Ramaswamy, but Musk did at least in this instance, it's going to be hard to pass anything of substance in the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, it seems to me like perhaps the miscalculation that Johnson made is that he correctly perceived that Trump more or less didn't care and had given him sort of free rein to negotiate what he needs to negotiate. He has a very narrow margin in the House in terms of House Republicans. Knew he was going to have to rely on some Democrats. Obviously, Democrats also still control the Senate. So he struck the deal he needed to strike in order to, clear the deck in his language, get this taken care of, get the debt limit taken care of, and, live to fight another day. And
which is his job as the Speaker of the House. That's his job. Americans are so used to, well, we just need to have an overwhelming majority so we can just ramrod stuff on people. That's not how the founding fathers set this up. You need to work with the other side. That's what you're supposed to do. And to be circumvented by the president-elect is making it harder for him to do his job. If I were that Mike Johnson, I would resign. Like, well, you do it then. You get somebody else to do this. I would just do my job. I wouldn't worry about what Trump is talking about. I wouldn't worry about what Elon Musk is talking about. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm going to do my job until it's not my job anymore. We need, and it sounds like that's what he was trying to do. He was just trying to do it quietly. And Trump decided to do what he did. Well, Elon Musk decided to do what he did. And Brother Dino, Biden did come in, it was a problem. The previous administration did what they did. They spent what they spent. Biden came in and did, he's going to listen to his advisors. He did what he did. He spent what he spent. But that part about getting Americans money to feed themselves or whatever, they sent out all that money. Trump did the same thing. They sent out all that money. If the goal is to give Americans money to feed themselves, then send them vouchers to get food. Don't just send them checks, because they took those checks and they went out and bought cars, man, those SRT Scatbacks. Right? What the hell? They went out and bought Gucci. They went out and bought Louboutin and Rolex. They went out popping bottles. Right? They were scamming the government, PPP loans. People getting locked up for that now. If your goal is to help, I need to make sure y'all can eat. So here's vouchers for food. Right? And there's still going to be people who somehow going to try to parlay that into some cold hard cash. Right? We do it already, man. We have the welfare system here. When I was coming up, it was food stamps. Now it's what is it? EBT. If it's for food here, this is for food only. If we need you to stay in your apartment or whatever, or you can't pay your mortgage, okay, send us the information of the landlord or whoever or whatever bank entity owns your place, and we'll send the money directly to the bank, the financial institution, or the owner. We're not going to give it to you. Right. So again, it's you do these things and okay, your heart's in the right place, but it's all about implementation. And it's the same thing. Right. It's the same thing. It's like YouTube isn't posting my comments. That's crazy, Cody. Then I'm hitting the thing. But it's the same thing that they're doing with this Doge. Okay, their heart's in the right place. We got to fix this thing. You're looking at Argentina. Argentina is not the United States of America. And if you do what Malay is doing down there, boy, is it going to hurt up here.
Start fresh in the Trump administration. And the miscalculation was really not realizing you do kind of have this co-president situation. So it's not enough to have Donald Trump's buy-in. It's not enough for Donald Trump to be like, sure, whatever, go negotiate whatever you want to negotiate and just make sure that I can come in with the government funded and with the debt limit out of the way. He didn't realize, guess what? You need to also make sure that Elon's going to be cool with this. And that seems to me like where the real failure and miscalculation here was for Mike Johnson.
I think that's well put. And I think, based on what I'm hearing this morning and last night, like Johnson could very well be toast.
It seems like it.
I agree.
He seems like his days are numbered.
But who would replace him is always the question, like
who's going to want that job?
Who can pull this caucus?
Who's going to want that job? No one. No one of any real merit is going to want that job. Like, nah, bro, I ain't taking that job. Why? You do it. Right? Somehow get Elon Musk appointed. Somehow let's figure out a way to make Elon Musk the Speaker of the House, which would be very, very dangerous for Donald Trump. You want to put on the tinfoil hat for a moment. If Elon Musk was Speaker of the House, how many more assassination attempts would there be on Donald Trump? Like, we're going to take out J.D. Vance and Donald Trump so Elon Musk could be president of the United States. Tinfoil hat moment, guys. It will never happen. But I'm just saying. And you look at what's going on in the world too. Like, hey, Brother Dino, what's going on in UK? Is things moving the way they wanted to move? Look what's going on in France. Look what's going on in Canada. Like, we're in a big transition politically. It's a lot of people who are having an answer for, their work in office. And even here's the thing, even with Biden, I just wish that, all elected officials, at least here in America, will reflect on what happened while they're still in office. Like, hey, you know what? I didn't handle this part well. I did the best I could with the information I had at the time, and I'm looking at it now. knowing what I know now, I would have done it a different way. I wouldn't have done it that way. Right. I mean, if our elected officials were honest and true to that, it's like, hey, I did my best, but I screwed that up. That's true leadership. I'm taking ownership for what I got wrong. But here are the things that I'm proud of, and I got these things right. I will be cool with it. Like, all right. But they try to hide their mistakes, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Right? Yeah, Trump wanted his names on the checks. He got his names on the check. That was funny when he did that. But it was a brilliant move because the people who came out to vote for him against Harris did that because they remember, we was getting them stimmy checks, man. Trump sent that money. Barack Obama got him about that. That's the only American president who's ever tried something like that. It's probably the only American president who ever do something like that. That was Trump. But Nancy Pelosi was the one to push the checks to American citizens during the lockdown. Facts. It was Congress that did that. But Americans don't understand how the process works, and that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. Blatant violation of rights with no repercussions. Yeah, man. I mean, we can change our system, but Americans have to change the system from the bottom up. But Americans is just trying to survive, man. It's like what Miss Leyland Voigt was saying. It's rough out here. And it's like, damn, where are you gonna get the help from? You sitting here trying to feed your children, trying to keep a roof over everyone's head, trying to figure out how, you got people out here hiding their cars just so they can, trying to make it to get their refund money so they can catch up on the car note. People insurances, like is housing insurance, like for the homeowners insurance and their auto insurance and their health insurance, out of control. You can't afford all that anymore. People are working their max. I'm the only person I know that just sits around. Like, I'm at home doing what I do and I'm working on what I work on from home, but I'm retired. Everyone else I know has at least 2 full-time jobs and a side hustle, man. I ain't lying. They're out here. These people are working their asses off. They don't get to spend any time with their kids. It's crazy over here. Like, it's crazy over here. JSJD in the building. What's good, fam? Right? And these people aren't on a team of the American people, man. They're on their team. Like I said, man, the 1% is worried about the 1%. People are just it's the game, bro. That's how the game is played, man. It sucks, but it's a cold game out here, bro. It's a cold game out here, man. And that's just how the game works. If you got the money or you have something that they want, man, they're gonna holler at you, bro. They're gonna come see you. But if you don't, if you're just a regular American, man, they don't care. They're just playing their game.
So who does have the support of the full caucus, and what are the demands on the future, potential speaker going to look like as well?
Yeah, it seems like Trump alone could save him at this point. I get Tom Emmer is the name that comes up a lot. I know you don't have to be a member of the House to be speaker, so kind of opens up the possibilities.
Rand Paul just today, we're about to cover it, said, why not just make Elon Speaker of the House?
Oh my God,
maybe it'd be easier.
Oh my
actually.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, not do that,
I mean, he basically is.
Yeah. Well,
I was just talking my ish. I can't believe they just said that. Make Elon Musk Speaker of the House. Oh my goodness.
he would be probably like the most powerful speaker in history in a certain sense. I mean, outside of the fact that the margin would be so narrow. How many seat margin do they have now coming into this
2
next session?
Right.
Especially with Trump pulled a few out of the House for his administration, Matt Gaetz resigning, so it'll take a while to fill that seat, et cetera. So it's extremely narrow. But I think when Elon says jump, the Republican caucus is pretty clear, says how high.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. That seems like the question I've had for the last year is, or the last few months, I guess, is, there are so many Republicans who resist some of the ambitious goals that Musk and Ramaswamy have set out. $2 trillion in spending cuts, revamping the DOD, cutting pork barrel spending out for this or that district. The list goes on and on, all these regulations that they want to cut. And then there's sort of like it's not really my lane, but sort of, Patel and, what Trump does with the DOJ and, what he does with the IRS, which, those are all questions. But this is, I think it's fair to say this is the first sustained barrage by Musk, his first real sort of flex, his first test of can you get congressional Republicans to sort of listen to you? And it's not entirely Musk, obviously. Like, conservatives in the House have been a problem for leadership for like over a decade now. So I don't want to say it's purely like sui generis from Musk. But I think by any standard, the test we saw, really the first test, which will set the course of the next few years, suggests that Musk is in charge and that there is no willingness in the Republican Party and ability to, maybe I'm repeating myself here, but to stand up to him and to stand out and put your head above the sand.
Yeah. Jeff, my last question for you is, you know, Elon is like a fan of Javier Milei and sort of anarcho-capitalist. He's this very, you know, somewhat doctrinaire libertarian outside of where he wants his own government goodies, et cetera. His ideology is not the same as what Trump has articulated to the country. I mean, Trump has never been like an austerity Paul Ryan Republican. One of the reasons he's been so successful, for example, is pledging, I'm not going to touch Social Security and Medicare. Elon Musk would love to cut Social Security and Medicare. Probably the most clear-cut example of where there's a real divergence is Trump has been pretty consistently in favor of, you know, a very aggressive regime of tariffs. Meanwhile, Elon was out tweeting praise for Javier Milei rolling back tariffs in his home country. So help people to understand. It's always tricky with Trump talking ideology because he doesn't have that firm of an ideology. I think Elon is a much more ideological, actually, figure. Where are some of the frictions between Elon's ideology and at least what Trump has articulated his ideology to be to the American public?
And I suggest that we listen to this guy's response. Like, this dude is a journalist. Like I said, he has a lane. He studies every word that's coming from these people, that's coming from Trump, that's coming from Musk. You know, he knows what's going on in Argentina, right? It's not like this guy is some sort of leader or whatever, but I like it when nerds talk, because nerds throw themselves into that world. They get every little detail. So I really pay attention when the nerds let loose. And then you go back and read their work, and then you go back, because they'll cite their sources, go back and read those sources and figure it out for yourself. A lot of people don't have the time to do this. A lot of people they're so busy working, like, you know, like we're saying, just trying to figure it out. They don't have the time to do this, to look, to listen, and to try to think it through. So thank goodness for YouTube. I mean, I got my, you know, we all got our issues with YouTube, but at least we have the technology to throw this out here. People can kind of take a glance at it, and then hopefully that'll nudge them to go do their own research. So let's definitely look at this. They're removing your comments, bro. Man, I ain't got that bad. Yeah, they ain't hitting me up like that. They just, you know, they just holding on my coattail. They just hold me a little bit, but they ain't like just deleting your stuff. That's crazy. And Brother Dino was like, Elon is threatening to put $100 million in small UK £100 million in small UK third party because he doesn't like our current prime minister. Bro, that third party might be something, but y'all's form of government is way different than ours. I mean, could that move the needle, bro? Like if you had a small third party, could that move the needle in you guys' system? And would that make, you know, that party more prevalent and maybe get them in to the point where they can form a government and go talk to the king? I wonder. But let's listen to this brother's response.
I think that is one of the most important questions that we're going to, you know, see play out over the next few years. As you're saying, Crystal, you know, Trump has, you know, rose to power in 2016, explicitly saying that he would not touch Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid, arguably the three most important programs in the federal budget, provide healthcare and pensions for tens of millions of seniors and other, you know, poor people and other people in this country. Now, I think in his second term, I'll choose my words carefully here, I get the sense that Trump is softening on that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is Trump has always said that he stands for eliminating waste and fraud and abuse in, say, Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. It's really, though, of those three, I mean, Medicare is kind of the crucial one. There's so little waste in Social Security because, you know, you're just sending checks to people for their retirement programs. Very straightforward. Medicare, though, is complicated, and there are things in Medicare that people that I do not think are sort of out to hurt grandma that can be sort of revamped or changed, or that there can be cost savings. I think what Trump seems to be suggesting to want to do to me, which I think is an interesting shift from his first term, and as you're suggesting, puts him more in line with Milei and Musk, is to say, actually, I'm going to propose changes or cuts to Medicare, but I will insist that this is just waste. And any dorky Washington Post reporter that suggests that this is Medicare cuts, I'm just going to yell at and be like, you are lying about what I'm doing. I'm just doing reforms to Medicare that aren't touching the program. And adjudicating the question of if that's a cut, if that's slashing Medicare, is a sort of epistemological, like metaphysical question that is hard to get like a very straightforward answer to, because legitimate people can have legitimate different interpretations of what that means. But some of those, I mean, we'll have to see what he actually does. Some of those programs could, if cut, could lead to, less care for seniors. At the same time, there is waste in Medicare, and some of the things necessary to do that could just look like waste to, I think, a good faith person trying to reduce the federal budget, which is a complicated and nuanced picture, but and one that I think will be impossible to write in a story without like millions of people being like, you're an idiot who is mischaracterizing things. But I think that is sort of the dynamic that's shaping up.
Welcome to our lives there, Jeff.
Like, dude was breaking it down. Shout out to him, man. Let's give, y'all know I like breaking points, man. Shout out to them. They're trying to do their thing. They're trying to do their thing over there, man. Just like YouTube and Cody. Like, YouTube is all over Cody. I'm just posting and showing it on thing. I don't know what's going on. But I agree that what Cody is talking about is, we need to do something which boils down to what we were talking about earlier. Needs to be term limits. And to that point, I agree with Mandrell. Mandrell was saying 12 years, 6 terms in the House, 12 years. And I would say 2 terms in the Senate, that gives you 12 years. I think that's good. That's 12 years in both houses. I mean, if you want to say 3 terms in the Senate, that's 18 years. That's a long time. But that would give you continuity. So I would be okay with 3 terms in the Senate, which would be 18 years max if you can do it, 3 consecutive terms, and 6 consecutive terms in the House. That gives you 12 years, and then you're out. I would be okay with something like that. Why is it that that's not the thing in America? That should be a thing. Who's fighting that? The people who run DC. Right? The Johnsons and the Pelosi's and the McConnells and the AOCs, they're going to fight that because it's a great gig, right? You can shut the government down, still get paid, give yourself a pay raise. You can do insider training, 1,000x your, your net worth. Right? You got access to the most powerful people on the planet. If you get on one of those committees, you got a good committee, you got people hitting you up, you got lobbyists coming trying to give you money, dark money, which is legal now. Why wouldn't you want that job? Why wouldn't you want to be there for 35, 40 years? Why wouldn't you? Like I say, man, you would, get elected to DC, man. You go up there and you're broken down Honda Accord, 1985 Honda Accord. You leave out of there in a brand new, Gulfstream jet. You leave there in a brand new Boeing business jet, your own. Like, hey, I'm flying out. I came in here in a broke down car. I'm leaving in a private jet. So why would they want to change things? They don't care about the average American. I think they go there caring, but they get there just too much money. And they see how it's really working. Cody said something earlier. It was like, hey, man, you look at the VA needs more money. How about shave some of that money that we're sending in aid to Israel, right? Why not shave some of that money? That makes sense. Why not shave some of that money? Why not make a law that says that, I don't know, 5%, 10% of all aid that goes out to different countries for military aid, let's say, that 10% of that money goes to the VA. How about something like that? So every time we send money to some country to fight one of our proxy wars that gets our soldiers jacked up, a percentage of that money goes to the VA. The VA will be flush. We have plenty of money. We'll be able to take care of our warriors. Right? Something like that makes sense. And Brother Dino's got some football to watch, man. Great chat, man. Thank you for coming through, bro. I always love talking to you, man. You the man. I hope you're y'all don't have teams. I hope your club stay do it. I hope your football club wins. I mean, who's your club, bro? Who's your club? You know, I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan for American football, but who's your club over there, bro? And I hope that they win, whoever they are. I hope they win the match. Hope they get on the pitch. Hey, man, see, I'm getting on. I'm learning to get on the pitch and do their thing. It is what it is, man. He's like, if else he could do it, we could do a replacement, man. It's crazy. But yeah, percentage of military spending it makes sense. It should go directly to the vets. It should. Why is that even that should be a thing? Now I don't understand why it's not a thing. I don't understand why it's not a thing. Right. So we got one more story. Like, we're done with that. We're done with that. We got one more story. Let me bring this up. And this story was suggested by brother Cody. Sent me a message. He's like, man, and this was about a week old. We're definitely gonna get into this, which, you know, we want to end with this because I'm running out of time here. I got to get going. But this is very important, man. You know, this stems from the whole, you know, believe all women and, you know, hashtag me too, and which is important. I'm not trying to demean that. There are some legit issues that women are facing that they definitely needed help with. I get it. You know, you look at what's going on with Sean Combs. You look at what was going on with Harvey Weinstein. I mean, I get it. But it's kind of like what Bill Burr said when it comes to believe all women. All of them? Like all of them. Like 85%. We could believe 85% of them, but like that 15% of the wacko, crazy, you know what I'm saying? So, and I know that Bill Burr was making light of it. And he was making it funny, but like I said, good comedians make you laugh. Great comedians make you think. So this is the story of the lacrosse guys who were accused of EPAR. EPAR is the word that YouTube doesn't like in reverse. I took that from Donovan Sharp. Shout out to Donovan Sharp. You know what I mean? I like the way he does that. I'm glad you took care of that for me, Cody. Thank you, bro. Because I was worried. I was worried. Hey, oh my God, if that thing gets out, bro, with all them hamsters that were in the shot, man, we had a couple gardener snakes in there too. So I'm glad you got that, bro. Took care of. You know what I mean? It was funny. The snake was curling around some of the strangest things, man. It is what it is, bro. But thank you for looking out for me. Thank you. I ain't got to worry about doing any time. Cody and I are joking. I have nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. So this woman, Crystal Mangum, I think that's how you pronounce her name, I'm not sure, who accused 3 Duke lacrosse players of EPAR, now says she lied. This story is about a week old. It's about 6 days old. This is CNN. The former exotic dancer accused Duke men lacrosse players, 3 Duke men's lacrosse players, of EPAR in 2006, igniting a national firestorm. Now says she lied about the encounter. I testified falsely against them by saying they EPAR'd me when they didn't, and that was wrong. And I betrayed the trust of a lot of people who believed in me, is what she said. This was on a web show, Let's Talk with Kat. The interview took place at North Carolina Corrections Institute for Women, where Magnum was serving time for a 2013 second-degree deletion conviction for stabbing her boyfriend. So she lied on these 3 dudes. She deletes her dude. She lied on these 3 dudes. She deletes her dude. She winds up in prison. It tells you a lot about the individual, bro. This has nothing to do with all women. We're not, just because we're reading this story doesn't mean that we're condemning all women. We're not. It's just the believe all women means you got to believe this lady too, and they did. And if I'm not mistaken, the dudes got off. I think they got acquitted. A lot of people were enraged because they didn't get convicted. They got acquitted, I believe. But let's continue with the article. I testified falsely against them by saying that they EPAR'd me when they didn't, and that was wrong. And I read that already. Sorry about that. I made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God, she said. Validation, bro. Attention, validation. We talk about that all the time over here, man. Attention, validation. It's like a drug, bro. And again, not trying to beat up on women. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm not trying to beat up on all women, but man, people, look at social media, right? Look at Travis Hunter and his fiance, right? Who really wanted to be on social media? You think that's something that Travis Hunter wanted? You think he wanted more attention? You think he wanted more validation? Or do you think it was his then girlfriend, now fiance, who wanted the attention, who wanted the validation? Put on matching pajamas to go on here. It's a drug, guys. It's a drug. Everyone wants to be the main character. Everyone wants to be the main character. We can't all be the main. You could be the main character in your story, but if you bump up against somebody else like a Travis Hunter, he's the main character. If you're dealing with a Travis Hunter, a Elon Musk, if you're dealing with a George Clooney, they are the main character. You're never going to overshadow them. You're never, ever going to do it. But people try. This woman right here says she made up the story. She made up the story because she wanted validation from people and not God. Mind you, she's sitting in jail right now, bro. She's doing a bid. She's sitting down for a deletion case. She deleted her boyfriend with a knife. On the podcast, she says she hopes the 3 men will forgive her. I want them to know that I love them and they didn't deserve that. And I hope that they can forgive me, she said. Magnum's admission comes nearly 2 decades after she said she was e-parred by former players Davis Evans, Colin Fennery, and Reed Seligem. I messed those names up, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I can't read. I got Cincinnati Public Education. I'm gonna have to get hooked on phonics or something. But y'all can read it for yourself. It's right there. It's right there. According to the Duke student newspaper, Duke Athletics declined to comment. The university and the school's president and head of men's lacrosse coach at the time did not respond to the student's newspaper request for comment. There's been no reported comment from the players. Party accusations and the fallout. The 3 were arrested following the woman's allegations of essay at a party. The charges brought broad media attention, forced the cancellation of the team's 2006 season, and the coach lost his job. Mike Preacer lost his job. The district attorney on the case was convicted of criminal contempt and disbarred. So the DA went at him hard. That happens a lot, man. I'm telling you, that our American legal system, man, it's the best system compared to all the other systems, but all the other systems are trash. So our system is trash too. And here you have a DA who wanted this so bad that they got themselves disbarred, trying to get these dudes locked up. In April 2007, the state then Attorney General Roy Cooper, who's now governor, reviewed the case and exonerated the 3 men, declaring that the charges never should have been brought against them. That's leading from the front, bro. He took a lot of slings and arrows, and now, a couple decades later, to be proven right. What if he wasn't there? What if those young men had got locked up for this, bro? What if? You know what happens to pretty white boys who go to jail for essay stuff, for e-par? You know what happens to them in the system? My goodness. Duke University and the 3 players reached an undisclosed settlement shortly after the charges were dropped, so they got paid. The city of Durham settled a lawsuit by the 3 men in 2014. As part of the settlement, Durham agreed to pay $50,000 to the North Carolina Innocence Inquiry Commission. And I believe that's the end of the story. That's the end of the story. We got to be careful out here, people. It's not just I'm not just saying, hey, guys, look out for all these women. Hey, ladies, look out for some of these dudes. We got to be careful out here. There's people out here who are just dark, man. They don't care. They're going to come at you. And if they can use the system against you, they will. And good luck fighting the system. I think these young boys were successful because it's Duke lacrosse. I'm sure their family had money and they were able to fight the case. If you coming out the hood or the trailer park or the barrio and you catch this kind of case, bro, you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems. It's just as simple as that. You are going to have problems. If you don't have the money to fight the case, man, now you're looking to strike some sort of deal. That's bad paperwork. You're going to get locked up and go into a male institution with that on your record, bro. Man, your time is not going to be good time. It's going to be very, very difficult time. Very, very difficult, man. And you're going to go in there and say, I'm innocent, like everybody else, bro. You're going to get popped. They gonna pop that booty, bro. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, I mean, she's locked up now, and maybe, you know, she's in there getting counseling, she's getting the help that she needs, and she has her religion and her faith, and maybe she's reconnected with that, and she's just, I want to clear the air, I don't want to tell the truth. Hopefully they forgive me. You know, I don't know why she came out, but, you know, almost 20 years later, man. But, you know, like and just all of the stress that went into that, y'all. Why? She said, I did it because I wanted validation from people and not God. Wow. And here's the thing, not a lot of people talking about this. You got people on the far right, of course, the manosphere is talking about it. You got the extreme folks talking about it. But you look at the other side, there was only a handful of articles. I chose CNN, but it wasn't, you know, I didn't want to read the Fox article. You know, I was just like, well, let me try to keep this middle of the road. And it was barely anything to choose from. I mean, this is something that, again, we need to address. We need to look at this. You know, you look what happened to Matt Bauer. That was the Major League Baseball guy who was accused of doing things by this girl. Turns out she was lying. It cost him tens of millions of dollars just to clear his name. He won a judgment, and the girl still got paid from her insurance, I think to the tune of $300,000. I mean, if you don't go after people for doing this sort of thing, if you don't go after people for lying in court, like people do it all the time. And like, well, come on, DL, they do go after you, man. You know, if you lie in court, there's a law against that, man. It's perjury. You're gonna go to jail. Ain't nobody getting locked up for perjury, especially in family court. Even when you prove it. And I've done it. I proved it in court. Someone lied. They just moved on. Moved on. All right. So if you don't hold people accountable and uphold the laws on the books, people gonna keep doing it. I mean, if you out there, if you're a person and you can lie about something, you can go out there and say what you got to say, lie about something, and get away with it. And the worst case scenario is, you look bad, and you know, maybe people point at you and like, that's a bad person. Best case scenario, you get $10 million, bro. They're gonna go after that money, and they don't have to be 10 million, right? It could be, you know, $2,000-$3,000 a month. It could be $800 a month. It doesn't matter. It's free money. You just lied to get it. Right? You should be held to account. That young girl that lied on Matt Bauer should have been arrested. And she should have been charged. And she should have to face consequences. This woman right here, you would say, well, she should get locked up. She's already locked up. And if they wanted to, they can add some time. Like, she's already in jail. What would they do? They add them. Are we going to add 24 months? So, right? Nah, there needs to be consequences out there. Yeah, and it is like hyper detail, man. Right. And that 50K was just that was outside of the settlement. They got an undisclosed amount of money. They got some millions. Trust me, they got millions. But that 50K was just, you know, they probably were like, well, just 50K for this, give it to these people over here. But they got big money. But it's just, you can't say believe all anybody. You can't say believe all men. You can't say believe all women. You can't just do that. Like, you have to make sure what they're saying is true. Right. And then we do have statute of limitations. We got to stop, you know, getting around the statute of limitations. Like, you know, Sean Combs, I think he's guilty of sin. But, you know, you got this woman who's like 20 years ago when she was 13 said that she was a victim of these heinous acts. Why didn't you say something when you were 13? I get it. I'm a kid. I lied to my parents. I lied to my dad. He didn't know I was out here. I don't care. I tell my daughter all the time, listen, I don't care what you do. You're going to make bad decisions. It's part of growing up. If you get yourself in trouble or if something happens, you need to tell me so I can fix it. You need to tell me now so I can fix it. I can do something about it. And my daughter looks at me and she says, okay, Papa, I'll tell you. If something goes wrong, I'll tell you. Now, she doesn't have as much freedom as I had, but I mean, she's in school right now. Like, is she there? Or is she skipping school? Or is she doing something else? I wouldn't know if she signed herself out or skipped school or whatever until after the fact. I know what I was doing when I was her age. So I just tell my daughter, like, look, this is what's gonna happen. This is what you got to do. If something happens, you make a bad decision, you get caught up, make sure you tell me. Tell me, tell your mom, tell me. You know I can fix it. So you got this girl, she was 13 years old. She allegedly went through this horrible, heinous act at the hands of Sean Combs and allegedly Jay-Z. They said Jay-Z was in there with another celebrity, female. They didn't name her. And if what is alleged is true, this is horrific. Like, this is going to mess you up. And here we are 20 years later, and now you want to say something? I'm sorry, the game is the game, man. It's the statute of limitations. I'm sorry, you can't bring that up now and expect to get anything. Right? People like, man, that's kind of harsh. I'm like, we got to encourage people to say it when it happens, man. Don't come after me now because, here I am in my 50s. You come after me because you want to accuse me of shoplifting or jaywalking back in 1982, man. You can't do that. You can't do that. You owe us this money. The jaywalking ticket would have been $100, but with inflation and all the penalties, you owe us $350,000. Pay now or go to jail. You can't do that. And Cody's right, man. She could have cost these dudes their life. She could have. And like I said, worse. If they had gone to prison with that case, it would have been far worse for them. It would have been bad. It would have been bad, man. Yeah, that might be true, bro. But in which country? Like Cody is saying that the girls who accused the Tates of wrongdoing, which starting to come out that it was false, they're facing legal action. It's like, okay, is it criminal action? Is it civil action? And in what country? Because I know the Tates have lawyers here in America going after at least one of those women because she has done this multiple times in Florida, and they've been researching her and tracking her and investigating her. So yeah, she should. She should have to answer for what she did. Them Tate boys got locked up in a Romanian prison, bro. Like, come on. It ain't like getting locked up in America, in a Romanian prison. At least in America, you put money in your book. You good. Sucks, but you all right. You know what I mean? Look at Sean Combs or whatever, but a Romanian prison, bro. Oh, my God. And if that's the case, man, I'm definitely going to do a show on that. If that turns out to be the case, bro, I'm definitely going to cover that. So a lot of people, again, the Tates ain't no angels, man, but you got to give people for what they did. You can't just start putting stuff on them and think they're going to roll, man. These guys got money. You ain't going to roll over on these dudes, man. You can't stitch these dudes up. And they still got to answer stuff in UK. But I got a feeling that UK stuff is going to go away as well. Once they see what happens in Romania, they're going to just like, nah, because the Tates might say, all right, when this is over, we're going to sue y'all. Y'all don't have to pay all this bread. I think it might go away, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, worthless accusation. Yeah, 20 years ago, no proof. And all they had is the story, and then it's people lining up. You got like the driver of one of the cars who kind of set this up. He I guess stepped forward and collaborated some of the story, but no one was in the room. No one knows what happened. No one knows. Like you said, it was 20 years ago. It's terrible. You know what I mean? And this is like parents, this is why you got to watch your kids, man. You got to watch your kid. This young girl was 13 years old. She lied to her parents, told her dad she was going somewhere else. And what she did, she went to the American Music Awards or something like that. She went to some award show. She was, trying to get into the award show. She couldn't, but she wound up getting into the after party, one of the after parties, and something horrible allegedly happened. You got to stay on top of your kids. But so we look at our children like, oh, they're so innocent. I used to think that. My daughter did something with her phone and cost us a whole lot of money. And that's when I was like, all right, right. It ain't all lollipops and candy canes. Like, okay, they're little people and they're gonna fall victim to stuff. So, I mean, I love my daughter more than I love life. So I'll do anything for her, but you still gotta be there. You gotta teach them. You gotta, discipline them in a way that's gonna make sense. I wasn't gonna smack. I wasn't gonna spank my daughter for what happened, but we definitely learned from it. Right. And she lost privileges and, she had to regain those privileges. She had to regain and establish trust. And that's what we do. You know, it's just tough, man. That's parenting, guys. That's how it works. But Cody, man, I appreciate you, shooting me that story. I saw it, but I didn't really think to talk about it. But I'm glad we did talk about it, bro, because it needs to be talked about, man. Believe all women, man. Like Bill Burr said, man, all of them. Right? Like, I give you 85%. But that bit is hilarious. Let me see if I can find that bit. Let me see if I can find it. Because that, yeah. And hopefully, we'll see what happens. I might get might get in trouble, but we'll see. Oops. But yeah, that bit is so funny. Like, believe all women, like all of them, all of them. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we'll put it on here just for fun. And like I said, man, Bill Burr is the man. I think this is it right here. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think you guys can hear that. It's a funny bit. So he's like, it's taking me a second to find it. All right. All right. I found it. Let's pull this up. Fair use. Hopefully we won't get in trouble for showing this, guys. But we're just gonna show a quick clip of it. This is Bill Burr, and he's talking about believe all women. Got it. Done.
Right. We went from we went from not listening to them to now it's ridiculous. Like that believe women. It's like all of them. How about 85%? I'll give you 87%. All right. But that last 13% that keys your car, lights your shit on fire, and puts a family pet in a pot of stew.
Who put a pet in a pot of stew? Glenn Close.
Oh, that's yeah.
Okay, all right. I think it was separately boiled.
You know what I miss? Yeah, tougher.
That right there, bro. Believe all women. All of them. All of them. Yeah, that's a good bit. I'm gonna put that in the description, guys, so you can check it out. Shout out to Bill Burr. Like I said, right now, probably my opinion. My opinion, the greatest comic on the planet right now is between him and Dave Chappelle, and I think he still has the lead right now. But Dave Chappelle, both of them are about to drop another hour. I know that Bill Burr has an hour that it's in post production right now, so that hour should be coming out pretty quick. And Dave Chappelle, he'd just wake up one day and decide to drop something, man. So anyway, thanks for rocking out with me, guys. I appreciate it. This was a good conversation, good tough conversation, but we need these conversations. We need these conversations, bro. Americans, brothers and sisters, listen to me. If you want to fix our political system, it starts with you, right? Vote in people that you have vetted. You don't need multi-million-dollar campaigns to get a seat. All you got to do is get your people to back you, and you can beat these big political machines. You can beat them because you got the votes, right? You got this. You got social media. Go out there and meet the folks. Do what you say you're gonna do. Go do that, and then come home. Go to Congress and let's enact some term limits and make it happen. It can happen, but we got to do it, guys. I know you're working hard. I know it's tough, but it's the only way we're gonna turn this around is if we do it from the ground up, from the bottom up. It's the only way it's going to change. Otherwise, it's going to be more the same. It's going to be more the same. So hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I definitely enjoy rocking out with you guys. Definitely get involved. Cody is right. Get involved, guys. I enjoy working with you guys. Just as fun. I will be back probably Monday. I'll be doing some shorts over the weekend. I got some things going on. Not sure what we're going to talk about, but it'll definitely be something red pillish. I guarantee you that. So until then, y'all take care, man. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm DL Saint. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.